Okay, hello everybody. This is Tony Bentley with Cheerlogic Media, and today I'm just going to go through Facebook Analytics with you really quickly so that you can use some of the insights that Facebook provides when developing a social media strategy. So if you bring up your page and up here at the top you click on Insights, that's going to bring you to the analytics side of your Facebook page, and it's going to give you a bunch of numbers right off the bat in an overview. It's going to tell you how many page likes you have total and how many new you've had in the last week, so in the last 7 days. It's going to tell you what your total reach was in the last 7 days. And then it's also going to tell you what your engagement is, so how many people you engaged over the last week. And then these little numbers here, these percentages, are either going to be a positive in green or a negative in red, and that tells you how that number compares to the week before. So I've got 6 new likes this week, but I'm down 70% over the week before. And also over here, you can see that I'm down 65% and I'm down 67%. Now, this week I'm actually not surprised by this because the week prior I released a couple of videos that got some really good analytics, some really strong reach and strong engagement. So it doesn't surprise me that I'm a little bit lower this week. So a lot of people look at these numbers and they obsess over how many total page likes they have and how much reach they have. And you don't really want to obsess too much over these numbers. Remember, this isn't really an indicator of how good your content is. Your likes will build over time, and your reach will slowly start to build over time as your likes build as well. The number that you really want to pay attention to is this one right here, when compared with your reach. So your engagement rate is the number that you really want to take a look at every week. So if you take your engagement or your total people engaged and you divide it by your total people reached and you multiply it by 100, that's going to give you a percentage, and that's your engagement rate. So right now my engagement rate for this week is just slightly under 10%, which isn't bad. It's not great. I actually like to see my engagement on a given week between 10 and 20%. If I can get my engagement up to 20 to 30%, I consider that a very, very good week. So right now I'm sitting at around 8 or 9%. I'd like to see that up over the next couple of days. So if you scroll down, it shows you the last 5 posts that you've put out. So this one actually just went out about an hour ago. And then this was my podcast last night. So obviously the one that went out an hour ago has about 5 reach on it, which doesn't surprise me. It just went out. But you can see that my podcast from last night went out and got some pretty strong reach right off the bat. Now the engagement here, I've got 16 post clicks and I've got about 5 likes, comments, or shares, which isn't bad. It's not great, but I'd like to see that a little bit higher. Now, if you click on this, it'll take you over to your posts tab. So it just went from overview to posts, and it'll show you all of your posts for the last however long. You can look them all up. Now, if you click on this tab right here and click on engagement rate, it's going to switch your engagement from numbers to a percentage, and it'll tell you what percentage of your reach, of the people you reached, actually engaged with your content. So I got great reach on my podcast, but my engagement is about 3%. So I want to see that number grow over the next week and get that a little bit higher. Some of the posts that I put out last week didn't get very great reach at all and got no engagement. But there were others like my promoting YouTube as a search engine that got really good engagement. I only got 27 reach, but it got over 10% engagement, which is what I like to see. A throwback video that I put out last Thursday got fairly good reach, and it got over 10% engagement, which is good. And then my next highest engagement figure is the Thursday before that, when I put out my other throwback video, and that got over 10% engagement as well. So you can see that one of the messages that I reinforce when it comes to social media strategy is that video gets the highest engagement rates on social media, and I think this kind of demonstrates that. So if you go back up here, still on your posts tab, it gives you numbers for each day of the week, and this is the number of people who have liked your Facebook page, your fans, and how many of them were online on each day of the week for the last week. And then it kind of aggregates that information down into a graph here that shows you when kind of your peak hours are in terms of when your fans are online. So one of the things you want to do when you're scheduling your social media to go out is don't set it to go out at 3 o'clock in the morning because nobody's online. You want to look at when you've got spikes during the day. So for me, I've got a spike kind of at 11 a.m. I've got another one here at kind of 3 p.m. There's a lull or a dip between 6 and 7, and then there's another spike right here at 10 p.m. So I want to make sure that if I'm putting out 3 posts during the day, that it's going out right before 11 a.m., right before 3 p.m., and right before 10 p.m., because that's when my audience is online. Over here, if you click on likes, it'll kind of give you a time bracket that you can adjust here to see how your likes have grown over the last couple of months. Obviously, I ran some paid campaigns here in June and July, and that's why there's some really strong growth in my page likes there. If you click on reach, it'll do the same thing for you. It'll give you a time bracket that you can adjust, and you can look at your reach, and it breaks it down in paid and organic reach. So obviously here, when I ran my 2 paid campaigns, my reach skyrocketed. But my organic reach, which is unpaid, has kind of maxed out here at around 2,800, which isn't bad for someone who has 147 likes so far on a page that's about a month old. 2,800 isn't bad. Now, if you click on visits, it'll tell you when people visited your page and actually checked you out on Facebook. So you can kind of go back and look at your post analytics, and you can say, okay, I have a huge spike here on July 7th and July 8th. What did I post on July 7th and July 8th that got me such good visit analytics? Now, the next one, video, is one of my favorites, and it's brand new to Facebook. It'll tell you how your video analytics have looked on the different videos that you've uploaded. Now, these are videos that you upload directly to Facebook. This isn't sharing video over from YouTube, so that's something to keep in mind. But if you scroll down, it'll show you your video posts and how your reach did on each one, and what your total views were. So obviously, this paid campaign that I ran got about 24,000 reach and just about 5,000 views, which was fantastic. But then it also tells me my completion rate. So about 30% of the people that viewed that video actually watched it all the way to the end. So if you click on one of these videos, like this one, it'll bring up a graph for you, and it'll show you what percentage of people watched all the way through to the end. So you can see that by the time I'm 50% or halfway through the video, only about 25% of the people that viewed my video watched it all the way to the 30-second mark. And only about 5% of people watched it all the way to the end. So this is very important, because when you're creating a video, you need to recognize that in the first 10 seconds, you're going to lose about 48% of your audience. So you want to make sure that any important content goes in the front or up in the beginning of a video you make. This one is really interesting. You notice in this graphic, I have a huge drop off in the first 15 seconds, down to 38%. And then that number actually maintains almost right to the end, which means that in this video, the first 15 seconds were actually pretty boring for people, and I lost about 2 out of 3 viewers just in the first 15 seconds. But once we got past that, the 1 out of 3 that waited past the 15-second mark, they stayed almost right to the end, which means that the content from 18 seconds forward in that video was very interesting to people. And that completely makes sense, because there's about a 15-second prelude in this video before some of the stunting starts and some of the cheer specific content starts, and so that makes perfect sense to me. So that's kind of an overview of Facebook analytics. Oh, really quickly, let me show you what the People tab does. So the People tells you, it breaks it down into demographics and geographics for you. So out of all the people that like my Facebook page, 38% of them are females between the ages of 18 and 24. 17 are females between the ages of 25 and 34. And then you can kind of go through all that. So you can see that over 50% of the people that like my page are females between the ages of 18 and 34, and only about 20% are males between the ages of 18 and 34. And that makes perfect sense, because this, after all, is the cheerleading industry. It also breaks it down into geographic regions for you. So the number of people that like my page from Canada, from the United States, from Mexico, Australia, Costa Rica, and then it breaks it down by city as well. So obviously most of my fans are here in Edmonton. most of the rest of them are from somewhere here in Alberta, and then I've got a couple of people from other countries that like my page as well. So that gives you a little bit of insight into who you're dealing with in terms of your fans and what kind of content you should create to market to those segments. Anyway, so that is Facebook Analytics 101. If you are interested in developing a social media strategy for your business, you want to get in touch with me, you can email me at tonybentley@cheerlogicmedia.net, or you can come to my website, cheerlogicmedia.net, and just click on contact. Thanks very much for watching.